And hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well.
I have no video on you quite yet. I have audio, but no video.
Oh, it says I don't know.
Mystery woman.
Oh, there it
There
is.
you go.
I have the thingy. No wonder I couldn't get on oh my
It
God.
works. It works.
I was trying to get into a Zoom meeting earlier and I couldn't. Girl, bye. Why can't I get in? Oh gosh. I had to keep calling in. That's pretty funny. Because I've been working so much and you know how they say like cover your computer and
Yeah.
hilarious. Anyway,
That's all right. I had a total moment yesterday. Jeez, my brain. Earlier, I'm like trying to run up the stairs, press the elevator, not touch the buttons, go with my elbow. And I accidentally got off on the 3rd floor. I live on the 4th. And I went all the way to like the apartment right below mine, put the key in. I'm like, oh crap, this is not my apartment.
that's pretty funny. And I mean, being home all day, it's kind of difficult.
So let's get to the formal part because I'm going to edit that part out. So formally starting, for anybody who may come across this video who does not know who you are, if you could please state your name and where in this lovely world of ours you reside.
I am Amelia Ortiz Young, and I live in Schaumburg, Illinois, northwest suburbs of Chicagoland.
Okay. And so, Amelia, how has your quarantine experience been so far?
Exhausting. I find it much more difficult to work from home while having two children here. So I do have the benefit and the blessing of being able to work from home since I am an advisor. So we're just doing virtual and online and email and phone call advising. So that makes things easier. I mean, I don't have to go out, so I'm definitely grateful for that. However, I haven't cooked so much in I don't know how long ever in my life. So that, and then, I find myself doing more because I'm at work and then, paying attention to them or getting them their breakfast or their lunch. Also, it's exhausting talking to people and, a reminder that your situation could be worse, right? So I deal with students who are low income. So, neither their parent, some of them, neither parent is working and they're the essential worker. That's also like draining, when you talk to someone and then you remember like this is what's going on. It's a good way to remember how fortunate you are when you listen to other people's story. And really just trying to get them to get the resources that Harper has. Fortunately, the school has a lot of money. Well, I shouldn't say the job, but anyway, the educational institution that I work at has enough money. So just trying to make those connections. But yeah, by the end of the day, I'm pretty tired. And I think it wasn't until week 2 that I got into a little bit of a swing of how to navigate this world. But the work part or the home part isn't too bad because I am a homebody, which made me really realize this during this time because I'm like, nothing's really changing.
That's actually one of the questions I was going to ask, if anything has really changed for you.
Not the social part, going to the store. And I think the first couple of weeks I have not taken my daughter to the store. That's something her dad and I decided right away before the schools closed down. So she's been out of school since March 13th, and I've been out of work on campus since March of 16th. I had to go that day to get my stuff. So since that, neither one has been to a store since March, the beginning of March.
So do you find it kind of hard as a mom to kind of keep them occupied and entertained at home?
Yes, I have, you would think, oh, you don't spend money because you're not using gas, you're not going out to lunch, stuff like that. But I'm buying them games. I'm buying coloring books. I'm buying stuff for outside like bubbles and chalk. What else am I getting? My son, just stuff to keep up his motor skills with writing letters and numbers. So I'm still spending money on those type of things. And my daughter is actually, academically, she's um, always done well. She
Mhm.
scores. She's in the higher level in her grade.
Mhm.
So just trying to find ways to make sure that she's still being challenged because she's done with her work like in less than an hour. She's done.
Wow.
So they're not trying to make it too hard on them. Like I'll listen in to hear what they're talking about and what's going on. One of her assignments now is on a pandemic. She's learning about pandemics.
Mhm.
And I mean, I think the meeting was like 20 minutes. It was very high level. How are you? This is the expectation. It was very different. You
Mhm.
know, there were only 3 kids online.
Okay.
So the teacher said that she was going to change the time. Although it was like 8:30, which technically, you know, they're in school. She starts early. She's in school at 7:35.
Okay.
So I think it's just like people are being really lax
Mhm.
to, you know, because we don't know how you're reacting or how your family situation is.
Right.
Um, I found myself quickly trying to find like she has a space to do work, her homework and stuff.
Mhm.
But then again, trying to find another space just so that she could have for homework and then to kind of like relax. So like I said, she's doing coloring books. I have her journaling. The little one, not so much. She's just jumping up and down. It's funny. I think after week 3, they were both like, "Okay, I'm ready to go to school." So
Wow. I'm sure a lot of kids are going to be saying that now. Before they're like, no, I don't want to go to school. I'm like, back to school, yay.
yeah, they can appreciate their teachers more, right?
Exactly.
And their friends. So
Exactly. So, is there something that you've noticed is a positive that's come out of this situation for you
uh,
personally?
for me, or in general,
Both
not
for you and in general.
for me, I needed this pause. I'm in the process of trying to finish my dissertation, and I just have not been able to find a way to navigate being a newly single mom, working, trying to do something that doesn't have a timeline now. There's no longer a deadline where I have to turn things in.
Mhm.
I also needed time to just kind of reset myself as a person. I'm always on the go. I'm like, we're up early, we're out of the house, we don't come home till late. By the time we come home, it's like go, go, go. So I have not been complaining about this reset. Um, I do wish, you know, I guess there's no way to have been better prepared, but ideally, if we were better prepared, just so that that lapse in my own job with my students didn't impact my ability to reach them.
Mhm.
Um, as far as for myself, I would say that I believe in the earth and spirits, and I feel like this is the earth's way of telling us, you know, we've been abusing it.
Mhm.
I have noticed, you know, the birds chirping louder. I've noticed things more green. So I kind of feel like the earth needed this pause because we abuse it.
Definitely agree with
Um,
you.
yeah, it's just ridiculous. Like the work going back and forth all day, every day. We just haven't had a chance to breathe and even appreciate what we have because we're so quick to look at what's next on our to-do list. I know I am. Um, as far as for like what I've noticed, even going to the stores and it's empty, I still have seen, although hand sanitizer was stolen out of my shopping cart. Okay, I was like,
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah, my hand stone. I leave my cart because I always carry my purse with me. And you know, I'm from the city, so I'm like on top of things like that. But at that time, I don't think the hand sanitizer ran in my head. I put it in there so I can make sure I'm always sanitizing my hand as I'm doing groceries. Someone stole it out of my cart.
Wow.
Besides that, I think that there has been more humanity as far as for like kindness,
Mhm.
even it to balance it out because I have seen on mom groups that I'm on, people saying, you know, one woman said that someone went in her cart and took uh, these special noodles that her autistic son eats.
Oh geez.
Yeah, so she was upset because the food had already been paid, whatever the case may be. But just to see how many people were flooding her with like, come and get food, come and get, I'll leave it on my porch. That was good to see.
Mhm.
And I have a lot of people that I know that they cannot stay home, and so they're making masks. They're finding other ways to do stuff. For me, I feel like my contribution is my dissertation because I need to just be done so that I could go out there and really just, the way we were doing things just doesn't work. So I'm ready for a new way, the transition, and
Mhm.
um just like a more inclusive world, because we just were able to show all the things that people with special needs were requesting that we couldn't, that we kept telling them that we can't do, we were
Right.
able to do in a flip of a weekend.
So
So I'm excited to see how the new society will be. I think it will be a lot
that's
more.
you're getting ahead of me. That was exactly what I was gonna ask. Nestles, what do you think would come from this? Like, what do you hope carries on even after we go back to being normal, quote unquote? Even though I don't think there will ever be anything like the old way again.
Yeah,
I totally agree with you. I feel like there's a reset. For me, I've even felt it like in the energy when you're walking around, just like in the people, within the people. It's a huge shift going on right now. And it
hmm
was a much needed shift. I noticed, like you said, the birds are like chirping louder and they're more around. I honestly have not seen sparrows in like 5 years, and I saw a bunch of them in my neighborhood. So I was like, oh my god, they're back.
right. I mean, well, I think that will is because of all the people that are constantly out in the garbage.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I would say is, people are just disgusting, and this virus has shown the level of inconsideration, right? Just coughing and not covering your mouth. These are simple manners that you should have at any age. So I
Mm-hmm.
think it's bad because it'll distance us, and we don't need more isolation with all the mental health. I fear that isolation will keep people from being able to come back. But at the same time, it's like you got to figure out your purpose in life. You know what I mean? Like, you just got to do the work. And I read somewhere it was like, if you can't go outside, go inside, and it was talking about going inside yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of like holding that to myself and to my daughter. My son is only 4.5, so he doesn't get it. I have been documenting his work as well, because he'll draw. So I'll put the date on the back just to see if there's any difference in what pictures he's making.
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing is like just giving back. So we do donate, and we did stuff. I have them do stuff for Thanksgiving, because they have a very privileged life,
Mm-hmm.
just especially just from the way we were raised, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and we didn't even have it that bad, but just,
You're right.
um, but I'm going to have them draw spring photos, like flowers and stuff like that, because my uncle lives in a senior citizen home, and all those people are under lockdown. So I think like just being more aware of like how we can do for others is
Mm-hmm.
something that I want them to have. My dad is very much like, if there's food for one, there's food for two.
Right.
So I've been raised like that, so that's not such a big stretch for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I think just showing how individualistic people are has really, like, it made me more proud to be raised in a community where it takes a village. That, if you don't have, you can go to Fulana, and you could go to Fulano, and you could get it, because like no one ever suffered alone. So I think that if we could get back to that, that's something that I would hope.
I
Um,
totally agree with you on that part. I find myself bartering more often with my friends, and it's like, okay, you're out of disinfectant, and I have extra, but I need a stick of butter, and I don't want you going to the store with all these people because you're my friend and I care about you. So let's do a swap.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, I didn't stock up on hand sanitizer because I didn't know, obviously, but I still gave some to their dad because, I don't want him to get sick. The same thing, like anybody needs food.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it comes to the point that it's like you realize this did a big divide of the inequity, because
Mm-hmm. For
people
sure.
they have money, like the people that I work with, March, maybe March 7th, they were already buying supplies, right?
Mm-hmm.
The students I deal with, they're like week to week, check to check. So they were unable to buy supplies. And then I was able to, so I'm grateful.
Mm-hmm.
But then I go to the store, and all that's left is expensive stuff. And stuff that the poor people can't afford anyway.
Exactly, which goes to show with a big divide in the numbers, and especially in Chicago, where the communities are so segregated due to a historical, in inequalities of the distribution of funds and so forth and so on. And we can go on for hours on that topic, but it's becoming very evident with the number of deaths that are happening in the poorer communities.
Well, look at the number of blacks. Like I have several friends at work that are black, but they weren't taking it serious at first, and not because they were like, "Oh, screw it," um, but more so because I don't think that in the community of color, we're not so quick to trust or go to the doctor, the medical, especially black people with the whole thing of like they were given syphilis, stuff like that. So, I mean, you have these conversations with people that they're like, oh, it's okay. And then finally, when everyone was accepting, okay, this isn't just a cold, it's a flu, they're all in essential jobs. Even my husband, who is college educated, he doesn't have to be out there in the street, but he has to watch them. So he's in the car watching them, but he still has to be out there.
Right.
But I think it was like 70% of the cases were African American men, and there's only 30% of blacks in Chicago. Right. I'm like, go over there and like purposely infect them. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm so confused by that.
Yeah, that's definitely something like for further research. Somebody who's into epidemiology or sociology, that'd be an awesome thing to study right now.
Well, it's so weird because my youngest sister, she's getting a BS in global health.
Oh,
and when she first started, what's global health? What's everyone? What's global health? I never heard of it. She's like, now everybody's talking about it.
Yeah.
But this is exactly what she was actually going to go to Ecuador in a couple months to study diabetes in third world countries. So, and she's a type 1 diabetic, so I'm glad she didn't end up going. Good. But definitely, that global health, anything like that is so big. Even like this telecommunication or anything with this. I don't know. I saw a meme that said that they pulled the mask who's behind COVID, and it was the Zoom app.
Wow. It was behind it. Message to Zoom, don't get me sick.
How many times prior to this did you ever hear of Zoom? I know I never did.
I actually have used it quite a bit for different trainings and so forth, but it wasn't as widely used and accepted like as some other apps. Like everybody knows about Facebook and all the social media apps. Like Zoom, it was like only for trainings and very seldomly used. And I've used it maybe a handful of times, maybe like 5 in my lifetime before this.
Yeah, when I'm gonna my son uses it. His preschool, they talk twice a week. Technically once. He's full time, so they try to do the Monday, Wednesday, Friday session, and Tuesday and Thursday. So he has 2 Zoom meetings a week. He does Google something, I forgot what it's called, but it's like Zoom. It's more secure because you heard that they've been hacking into Zoom.
Right.
And then my job uses WebEx. Okay. So WebEx is pretty cool. I could make calls, I could FaceTime, but it's just a way for them to track, right, if we're calling people. So, but yeah, it's interesting how this is going to just really change.
Yeah. So what's some advice that you would give to someone else out there who maybe comes across this video and maybe they're a little more isolated than we are, being that we're in a big metropolitan area, where we can go look outside our window and see somebody, but they maybe have their nearest neighbors maybe miles away? What kind of advice would you give that person?
Well, I'm not a very neighborly person, so even if mine are right next door, I'm still hi from afar. I think that you need to take this time to figure out what your purpose in life is. Maybe develop a mission of who you want to be coming out of this. I think it's okay to freeze a little bit and take the time that you need, and not to be hard on yourself. Be gentle with yourself. Be gentle with your kids, because this is so hard. They're definitely feeding off of our anxiety as well. So
Mhm.
we have to be careful with the media that we consume as well.
Mhm.
But I would just encourage anyone to use this time to check off some of that to-do list, even if it is just remembering who you are, because um, my daughter's what, going to be 14, and it's been 14 years since I remember what I like to do. So I'm trying to use this time to remember. I'm also coloring. I'm also journaling. I'm writing in my district, writing on this dissertation. I'm also just laying in bed and listening to my body. If the next day, my neck hurts, I'm cleaning. I'm going through old pictures. I'm getting rid of stuff that I don't use, that I know I'm not going to use. Getting rid of clothes that I plan to donate once I'm able to. So just really like cleansing. I've done a last couple of years. I've been just cleansing my mind and cleansing my spirit, and now I think now it's time for the physical cleansing. Like get rid of the clutter,
Mhm.
check things off the to-do list, and just be ready for the new world, because it's not going to go back to the way we knew, and that's okay.
So you mentioned a couple of times already you're a pretty spiritual person. Has this situation, this experience changed your spirituality at all?
um Spiritualism, and I believe we're all connected, right? I believe in karma and all that other stuff. I don't know, I still struggle with that whole religious spiritual. I don't know how to define it, but I know that there's something bigger than us,
Mhm.
and I know that um this isn't the way we were intended to live on this earth.
Mhm.
So if we could find a way to mesh the two worlds, what we need as a society, but still honoring what the world gives us, it would be beneficial. Has it strengthened me? Yes and no, because I think that this is a time where you figure out what your fears are.
Mhm.
So I'm never afraid to fail. So if I fail, I'm like, oh well, I'll try again. I think this has really made me feel like, okay, what does it matter now, right? It doesn't matter what kind of car you drive, it doesn't matter where you work, nothing matters, because if you get sick, we're all in the same boat.
Right.
um so I think spiritually, what has helped me realize just how big the connection is. If it was whatever the Wuhan, the bats, a bio, whatever
Mhm.
weapon, whatever all these conspiracy theories are,
Mhm.
regardless of how it started, the fact that we're so connected
Mhm.
globally is, I think, that the biggest thing that we could take away. How did something from China end up all the way over here and
Right.
infecting so many people? Well, because we're so connected.
Right. So if somebody were to come across this video in 20 or 30 years, what would you want them to know about this period in time?
Politics are a joke. Um, they really are. It's a shit show. I think that has been the biggest turnoff in me, like being an advocate or like fighting more, because I feel like it's all just bullshit. Um, Housing is super expensive. Rent or to buy a home, it's more than what, 70% of your paycheck, 80% of your paycheck. Um, Being a mom of two kids is difficult, but also rewarding. Being a working mom was extremely difficult. You manage one guilt over another. But I think in the end, you have to do what makes you happy as a person, and not as a mother, as a wife, as an employee, as a sister or daughter, but as an individual, what makes you happy. So that is what I would take away. You should always do what makes you happy.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your personal story about your experience at this time.
Okay, thank you.
So when I have this all set up and whatnot, converted, I'll share the link with you. Thanks again.
Oh,
Take care, be well. Bye.
bye.